And then Mickey comes over to me and said, "Oh, he does it different." And when I said, "Yeah, come here," and we tried it his way. And then he saw us doing it, and he could tweak it. But that was fun because we got to do the right and that spontaneous. And we go, oh, interesting. He does it different. And so it was fun. Right. I'm lucky I don't have that where everybody's looking around. That was my experience because I never brought a lot of students. That everybody's looking around. They're still holding 2 sticks up there, or whatever. So the person to show. I'm like, oh, I better go over there. You know, like, okay, this is what he did, and you go slow.
See,
so
and that's the thing. You know, you get it. Like I said, you give all this money. And you go there and you remember 10% if you're lucky. Yeah. And you go home trying to remember, and then you lose it because you're trying to remember. It makes you forget all the things about that. And that's why I just don't like to go to seminars anymore. You know, it's funny though because I flipped the experience for myself and remember going. I was that person going. You know, I don't know what to do, and I'm like, I'm so happy now. I can go like. Got it. Okay, yeah. Cool. And then I'll catch maybe one thing different. Oh. Do that and then you get excited.
And then you get excited.
Hey, come here.
Show me that. Come here. He did it different. And then you're doing it.
Show me.
Okay, yeah.
That just reminds me of Master Green.
Yeah, that's one of the privileges that we get to talk to the master. Who's ever good. Hey, come here. I want to talk to you.
Right. Yeah.
Show me that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because that's really what it's about. I mean, if we're talking about human behavior, yeah, when you're up there as an instructor, there's a certain expectation, like you said. Mm-hmm. But when you're talking to somebody that you view as an equal, then you don't really have that expectation anymore. Now it's just a matter of, hey, can you share with me your ideas behind this versus the physical stuff? I saw the physical stuff over there, but what's behind it?
What's the science behind it? Yeah.
And, you know, and the beautiful thing now is that I think we're in this is one of the benefits of the culture changing, because it definitely has a negative side, but the positive side, now you have more people integrating, and if you get the right people that are open to share. Right. I mean, before, I don't know if it was the same for you, Rico, back in the day. So like, no. I mean, it was still back you train with those guys? Yeah. Huh? Disrespect, or you don't do that. No, you don't do that anymore. It was like,
we've heard of schools where they make you sign a contract so that you can't share what you're doing in their school.
And you can't go to another school and you can't even visit.
All that. So now that you bring that up and say, hey, would you mind sharing that? Right. To me, all it brings me back is, wow, we've come that far that we can actually do that. Because I'll be the first. I don't got all the answers by any means. Right. I know what works really well for me, but that might not work.
Humble looks like. Humble.
I try, but I will mess it up and do great as much as the next person. Right. I have my moments. I have my down moments, and then. All you can do, and what a great vehicle, martial arts, for a vehicle to realize that. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Always doing it. But that's what stood up when you said, can you share that? It's like, man, you know, we didn't, back in the day, no, that was like, what?
Yeah. So share a little bit more. What's the changes that you've seen? What are the pros and the cons in these changes?
Just right off the top of my head, the one is that we have the information's out there.
Okay.
Right. The information that we,
Too much?
I don't want to go this old man thing. Yeah, we worked out so hard and we got up early in the morning, we bled, I mean, but...
And as true as that was...
As true as it was.
As true as that was, it was all bullshit at this point, right?
Yes.
Because you look back at it.
Yeah, look back and I go, But at the same time, though, it was, the information wasn't put out there. So now you can just go... Oh, I've never heard that stuff. And I'll do that, and I'll go, YouTube. Oh, they do it that way. Interesting, right? So that is, it's out, but at the same time, you have this, your shit sucks. Oh, excuse me. Your stuff sucks. That's all BS. That's all said, and it's just like.
It's all adults. So
But people are watching this stuff, and they're watching on YouTube, and I'll be the first, I had my moments, especially back in the day, where that's all BS. They ain't gonna work. But at the same time, some of the stuff I go, and I'm really thankful. A lot of things that were shown to me, that I go, wow, I can still train. But I ain't getting there putting no mouthpiece on or putting the gi on, getting on the mat a lot like I used to. Because right now next month it'd be, God. So I'm and it does have its moments. And it also depends really what your goals are. People are sitting there and telling each other, oh, that sucks. And I say, well, wait a minute. I get what you're saying, but what is their goal? They might just be wanting to harness their chi and be healthy. I mean, I get it, but
that's why me and Nayan have been doing this thing that we're doing now, the Kali Conversation. Because sharing to us is very important. And we got this from our good friend Dennis Duarte, who you know.
Yeah. Good
and
guy.
Dennis, when we first came up with Kali Conversation, and most of our audience knows, we did it because we wanted to do something for our students.
While COVID was going on.
Yeah, COVID was going on. We wanted to
yeah.
just email everybody a video of us talking about the class and whatever.
Right.
And we let Dennis watch it, and he says, you guys have a pretty good chemistry, and the conversations are really good. You should try to see what you can do with this on YouTube and blah, blah, blah. And we're like,
here we are.
Okay.
So this is Dennis's fault.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
We keep cursing his name. But the reason why I liked it when Dennis brought this up, because he is one of those guys who loves to share.
Oh, yeah.
He hates calling I'm teaching. No, I
Right.
like to
Sharing.
share. I'm sharing.
And he's definitely one of those, hey, you need to talk to that guy.
Yeah.
See? Isn't that? And that's the beautiful thing about.
Have you jumped onto his learning lab yet?
A little bit. Yeah. I'm
You're
right now.
busy.
I'm online all day with middle school kids.
Right.
God bless them. But
But-
I need to go. It's hard because if I could turn it off and say, okay, so what's happened in the martial arts? So I get the dip in there every
Right.
now and then. So
But yeah, he's exactly what you're saying, is that sharing, especially nowadays in the martial arts, which used to be very rare. Nobody ever really
Yep.
shared.
Yep.
Unless you knew the people. Right?
Mhm.
I mean, back, FMA is notorious for that. You could only learn from either a family member or a friend.
or you had to jump through immense hoops.
Yeah, and you had to go to their backyard and
Yep.
you'd have to clean up the house. But that's the way it was, and that's how you. But nowadays, like you said, with the advent of the internet and all this, you can just,
It's out there. Man.
Yeah.
So it's great, but
So, in that, since the information is out there, then what's the use of an instructor?
well, some individual will say that. In my experience, some individuals, well, what's the use of an instructor? Because so where I would go, if someone believes they can learn by just watching, then they're probably not going to be your best student, right? They're not,
Yeah.
or maybe they really don't want to learn.
I've always hated learning from a video.
Yeah, I mean, visual notes, that's all I like to put. That's a visual note, great. But I still need to go, hey, Rico, here, hit me with a number 1 or number 2. Let's test out. Hey, I saw that. I'm going to hit you. What do you think? Because then we got to have to test a lot of those things you were talking about outside. Then, so it might work really well for me. I really like it. You might go, now I'm going to keep doing it this way.
Right.
Great. But this emotion is still the same.
Right.
So the advent of research, if somebody really wants to learn, you just hope they are calling you. Because then they're one of the right ones. But
This is his plug. Where can we get a hold of you?
We're going to put the number on the screen and everything.
Yeah. That's where I go with that.
Now, do you still teach? I take it you do. Because
Yeah, I do. I have maybe about 3 or 4 of my people that I teach. My wife trains with me. She does a lot.
You notice he didn't say my students or my school or anything?
People. Yeah,
It's just
people.
that people that just come over and say, hey, let's play.
That's
Well,
humility. He doesn't put himself above. Like,
I do. I like Mickey's my student, but he's one of my best friends. I've known him for years.
Wow. So
we still
play.
get the
We call it
play,
play.
and we
Yeah,
play.
play.
Absolutely, yeah.
Come over and let's play.
Yeah, most of the people that still contact me
Right.
are like people I've known. Some I'm friends with. I had one of my old from students that have been there from the beginning. I got him. We lived like 10 minutes from each other, but he's been so busy. I said, "Why don't you come over when we're starting?" So every now and then we do get together.
Awesome.
And it's great.
I have a question because this failed for me in my previous marriage. I couldn't teach my wife. There was a disconnect somewhere. She was just angry at me for something in the dishes.
I don't think
maybe.
anybody can teach their spouse.
But he said he trains with his wife. That's why I'm like, how do you do that? How do you get away with that?
My wife has taught me a lot in the sense of martial
There
arts.
you go. She's the teacher.
She's
the teacher.
She's the teacher. No, and what it is my wife has a lot of learning disabilities.
Oh.
And so a lot of that she's had to go through. So when I started teaching what I think she should do,
She said, no.
yeah.
So she was one of those examples where like, what happened? She got it here. Now
Absolutely.
there's a disconnect.
Yeah.
Okay.
She has scoliosis.
Oh,
She has
wow.
sometimes a learning disability of things in spatial awareness. You know,
Right.
and Phil much is all about
Like spatial dyslexia?
No, I don't think it's
I
quite
have
dyslexia.
dyslexia.
I'm not putting you on the spot. It's
Sorry.
Yeah, he is.
But it was thought that. But part of the process, because I went, I don't think it's but I noticed a spatial difference. Like some people you can say, give me a 1, number 2, number 3, and they just go to it right away. My stepson, I remember the couple times I taught him, he caught it right away. Sometimes I kick myself. I should have pushed him because he did it like the first night. But my wife will sit there and it's like the way she tracks it. So I had to change the way,
Right.
but I had to be mindful and sit there. Stop trying to get what you want to do.
There you go.
Quit.
Yes.
Stop that. One of some things
That's-
I've heard is called get out of your own way. Quit. Get your black belt eyes out of here, and get through that because it was just.
I always look
the
at
process.
I always look at that because I used to have the same problem, but I turned it and I said, okay, what are they seeing?
Yeah.
You know, and I always say, like when me and Naina will play, I say, okay, what do you see? What am I giving you, and what are you giving me?
Yeah.
Let's tackle it that way because then you know, oh, okay, that's that. Oh, here's where. Oh, my feet. Da, da, da. And you're okay. I got to come out this way because da 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 da.
Yeah.
And that's how I tackle that because you're right. Sometimes people have a hard time of understanding what's being said, even though you're saying it nice and clear.
Yeah.
In their mind, they're hearing something totally different else.
Yeah, I had to figure out one thing that there's a method of weighing how people learn because you have the old kinesthetic audios and visual, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then you look at some of the peer reviews on that where they tested and said, oh, that's a lot of bunk because you don't have people that are just visual learners or kinesthetic learners. However, I was pointed to a resource. It was a book called The Open Mind. It was the Markova a method of noticing how each representational system matches with your consciousness. Okay, I'm not getting too woo here because there's neuroscience about it, and it worked for me is noticing how on your conscious level, your subconscious, and on your unconscious. So me, I'm audio on my conscious. So we're sitting there, we're doing and being sarcastic. I'm right with you guys, yeah. But you sit there, and if I wanted to say, well, you need to learn that martial art, it took me a long time to look and go, I got that because on my kinesthetic, that's how I sort things out.
Right.
I could sit there and think I can do that and watch and think it, but if I don't sort out with my physical, nothing. My wife's so visual. She can look at a spreadsheet and go, got it. Me, I look at it, I go, what the heck is that?
Numbers are floating all
Right,
over.
yeah, it's just that.
No,
so
I get that.
That has helped me. So so when you say you see it, it's like, oh, how are they seeing it? You know, because if I see it this way, I'm seeing it that I want to get to the kinesthetic. I want to get to that's why I love sparring. I was sparring here, throw me.
I call that 3D learning.
Yeah, that's a great way of thinking.
Right?
Of it. Yeah,
Because
3D
you're
learning,
seeing
yeah.
it 3 different ways. Your mind sees it one way, your eyes see it another way, and your physical sees it another way. And that's how I see it.
Yeah,
Because
if I can get past my own self,
Right.
then I can get to what you're
Yeah.
calling 3D learning.
Because that's what I always use the term 360, right?
Yeah.
Because I see everything all around
Yeah.
and I understand. So when Naeem's like, how the hell do you see that? Because I understand both sides of the fight.
Yep.
That's the physical part.
Yeah.
But I'm also understanding what you have to think about when I'm throwing this, so I have to catch it here. So I have all these things. It's like 3D.
That's the
model.
cognitive spatial awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
he's probably what I'm hearing is a lot of the pre-thought is going into the training because you can't bring my always thing is I do not want to bring a heavy cognitive load to the event,
Right.
whether it's a social or an antisocial situation. Because I want to be because if I'm reactive, I might
You're late.
Yeah, I'm late, or I might be early.
Oh yeah,
Because I'm triggered.
Right.
I said, you cut me off in traffic, and I'm sitting down. And I'm all of a sudden, I'm in your face, and I'm like, I'm put in jail and being sued for just because you cut me off in traffic.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's reactive on the bad state, right? If I'm proactive, thinking beforehand that what are my triggers? Do I get really angry when people call me fat? Or when I get cut off in traffic, or I see something, I go, oh, that's just wrong.
I'd call you fluffy.
Yeah, if you call me fluffy, I'll just go. You and I need to talk offline. No,
Hey. It's a family show.
And since I have a background in working in mental health and doing 5150s and working in probation, I'm pretty comfortable in like I've talked my way out of got 99 situations I've gotten.
Right.
The one time I did have a knife pulled out, I talked him out of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did talk. I got lucky.
Well, talk about that.
Well, since you mentioned it, what's wrong with you?
Can't
just race through that.
Well, I pulled that. I'm okay.
What I can share is when my last job, I was a facilitator for community services. I worked with juveniles on probation. And when I did, I worked with them and their families. So I would connect with them, again, hook up with maybe help them get a job, get them situated out in here, and they'd have a team. That usually be a therapist, sometimes what we call child family specialist, someone to bond with the individual, like a mentor or something. And then you had somebody with the parents. No, I was the facilitator, not the muscle.
Come here, kid.
Yeah.
So he'd have to wear a tie to look more.
That's the last thing. Well, and I actually really liked the job. It was a lot of work.
Rewarding though.
Yeah, it was. I was just. I think I got into it a little late. I was just like, because you have to meet little things like productivity and whatnot. So you guys get funded and whatnot. And they told me specifically they hired me because I worked part-time juvenile home. So I was working with the majority of mine were, in gangs and,
of course.
Not the part of town I was from. Mm-hmm. So, and that's what I found interesting. It's like, so you have a probation officer who goes in the east side and sit there doing their visit, right? Here comes their your program team, right? And we're all, hi, we're going to change the world. But we're walking in the same houses that have bars on them. We're not armed or anything.
Why you here?
Yeah, why you here? Exactly. And I thought, wait, we have to walk into these same places. And while I was working there, somebody got jumped, somebody got mugged.
Wow.
One of my clients was murdered. One was jumped. I would visit him in the hospital, and your martial arts says, let me see your wounds. And I'm sitting there, I'm going, there, went, there. And I went and I said, you didn't even know you had a knife. And he goes, yeah.
The guy did it left-handed, didn't he?
Well, yeah. I said, yeah, I was looking, it was a right nose, a right hand dominant. Yeah, went through that. I said, yeah.
He's breaking it down.
So anyways, with the one client that did, it was more of a mental health situation.
Okay.
And he was living on the streets.
Yeah,
and when I got him,
legal reasons.
So the gist of it, he was very frustrated, and we were out in a parking lot, and he was very frustrated. While he was telling the story that I had delivered, he pulls out a knife, and I'm like, and I even remember it was a spider coat.
Of course.
I was like, it wasn't one of those ones you find at the flea market. It had like a spider coat.
Spider coat was nice.
So I went. He was shaking, and he's about this far away from it, and he goes, man, now I got to carry around this. I got to carry around this one. Well, this is technically a session between him and I. So he goes, all right, so let's go. He puts it back in, and I said, dude, we got to talk. He goes, what? Wait a minute, this? He pulls that out again. You talk, and he got that close to me. What, you going to take this away from me? Oh, great. And I'm looking, I'm like, just talk him out of it. It was already past that,
It's past the barrier. In your head, you're like, take the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder.
And I'm conflicted, I don't care what anybody says, well, I would have took that knife. I said, dude, I was working, and I guess they'll put on my table. I kind of knew him, so I had to go with the better skills rather than go to those hard skills. I was realizing, dude, you're not. And
rather doing the guerrilla moves, right?
And I had to wait till he kind of burned himself out.
Right.
But at one point, it was right there. And you guys, blade and mind guys are sitting looking, that's way too close. That's like buzz, alarms going off, and I'm sitting there.
Yeah, I would have grabbed it from the point you got here to here. I would have already.
Yeah, the second time he's pulling it out, I would have been like, hey, buddy.
Yeah.
How about we calm down? I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a crazy story that's similar to that. I used to work at a plaza, and I was the security director there. And I get a call that there were some kids playing around in the garages, and it's over in Daly City. So I go up the elevator, top floor, and that's where they happen to be. The door opens, there's two kids there. And I see something shiny in his hand. I grab it, I'm like, hey, and it's a freaking gun.
Wow.
Luckily, it was a toy.
Yeah.
But afterwards, when I told management about it, why would you take the gun like that? If I don't take it and it's real, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? It's like, and that's like you said, you see that knife, and you're working and it's different. So you're like,
the only way I get through these moments is like I have to, in my experience, I'm owning this. My experience is that as our culture in public is not, gotta say this right, is not.
I'm looking for the words.
I know. I'm really.
Notes up there?
I'm conjuring up things. I'm not going back to memory. Is that is uneducated in violence?
Yes.
But shove it aside.
Oh, yes.
So why are we? Isn't it curious? The first thing is that, well, gee, why did you take that gun away from? Oh, he's worried about some little kid getting the gun, not your safety. That all you did was thinking you were thinking you might have been saving other people.
Right.
Because you only have a split-second decision there.
Yeah, I don't have time to think about what to do.
No, it's like, oh, thank God it was only a toy gun. It's like, why'd you take it away from him? It's like, there's no... and the only reason is like, I don't know this person, but it's like this person really doesn't understand
right.
the
gravity of what he has.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, what? Okay. So, that's
it gets like that, right? I mean, you're like, oh, like you said, you see that knife and you're something inside is that person take the thing away. Then you had to stop and say, wait a minute, I'm at work. Yeah. I'm not allowed to do that.
Yeah, mine didn't have a gun, but one time I had a client. I was right outside juvenile hall going to court where I used to work too. And we went to court. I bring out my client with his mother walking right outside the gate, and all of a sudden I turn around and this kid that had been eyeing him the whole time says, "What's up, bro?" It was a gang thing, and I'm right in front of juvenile hall, and I said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" And they started. The other one back, and they're doing their monkey dance, right?
Oh, they throw their sets.
Yeah, well, they went from this to this.
Oh.
And I went, oh man, and I got in front and said, no, come on, man, just back off. And the mom said, the other mom said, just go back in, go back. And I must have done this dance with them for about a good 10 seconds, which is forever. And I'm like, back off. And I spent until finally 2 probation officers finally came out and split them up.
Yeah.
Right. So when I was working in that job, I had to present to the county, and the person I told the person at probation was, he said, oh, Scott, you should never got involved.
You just walk away.
I was literally the only thing between them and their mothers from them throwing down.
Like their mothers were
and I got you should have never done that. Oh, and I'm not even putting it into, well, I'm a martial arts, but no, I was like,
you're a human being.
Yeah, right. And I saved, and I just.
And the other part is that I might have got shot.
Right. The funny thing is, I ended up working with a kid that threatened my client. He ended up being my client later. I was like, oh, small world.
Hey, remember me?
Yeah, remember me.
You're the uncle that got in my way.